Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Beginner to Expert. This is Angular 7 tutorial part 6. In this tutorial, I will explain about the Angular component. So, I will create one component. Let's say I will create employee component. So, I will use the Angular CLI. So, by using CLI, I will create the Angular component. So, here is the command sorry ng for angular, g for generate, c for component. Then we need to put a component name. Suppose let's say employee. So employee component. Now if I press enter, then it will create one folder with the component name, that is employee. So inside the app folder, because I am in the src app, so in this directory, so in this folder only employee folder will create, and inside that you can find out that employee component html, scss and ts file. Now it is being created. Now you can check the employee folder. It is, yeah, employee folder, employee component.html, css and spec and ts file. Now if I go to the employee component.ts file, here one class is created, that is employee. This class is decorated by @component. That means this class will behave as a Angular component. This component method actually accept one object, and that object is having some properties. One of the properties like selector, template URL and styles URLs. So template URL nothing but a template path where HTML view will be reside, and selector, this is like a table element, like div element. Like that way only we can use this component in a DOM as a element. Now coming to the one of the life cycle hook of the component. So there are so many life cycle hook exist in the. I will explain three of them, like ng on init, on changes, on destroy. So actually why I'm going to explain these three, because we are frequently use these three lifecycle hook. So this actually nothing but a interface, all are interface, so we have to implement it. So if we implement, then it will warn you that you have to implement those methods. So if you press control dot, then it will show you the intelligence, what are the things you need to implement. First ng on changes we need to implement, then again control dot, then you have to implement the ng destroy. Okay, now I will arrange this code like after ng on init, because we will try to keep the constructor at the top, then only life cycle hook method will be there. Now ng on init. So ng on init actually it calls after all bound properties of the directive has initialized. Here you can find out the definition of this: a callback method that is invoked immediately after the default change detector has checked the directive and bound properties. Also you can check over here life cycle hook that is called after Angular the data bound properties of a directive initialized. Now if you hover the mouse here, ng destroy, also here it is saying that life cycle hook that is called when a directive or pipe or service is destroyed, used for any custom cleanup that needs to occur when the instance is destroyed. That means when we leave one component, suppose let's say I have home page and about page. So home page means home component, about us page means about component. So when we talk about the view, then that means we are talking about the component, because component only one class, one decorator where we can attach a view. In Angular there is no other decorator where we can attach a view. So like home. If I leave the home page, I mean when user goes to the about page, that time home component will be destroyed and it will be removed from a DOM element. In that case, ng destroy, if we implement the ng destroy, then it will fire. And if we use any custom event like event emitter or subscription, or if we use any interval, then in those scenario we have to destroy the instance manually. So if we want to destroy a custom one, then we need to write those code inside the ng on destroy. Otherwise you no need to use ng on destroy, because angular will destroy automatically, like pipes. If you are using any pipes or service or directives, those instance to be deleted or clean up by angular itself when you leave that component. Now I'm coming to the ng on changes. So ng on changes are nothing but it actually tell you ng on init call once, and ng destroy also call once. Ng on changes can call multiple time depending on the situation. Like suppose let's say I have one parent component, I have a child component. So I want to read data from parent to child component. So in that scenario, whenever in the parent component input data got changed, that time this ng on changes lifecycle hook will be fired. So any input, only input value, if any input properties got changed, that time only ng on changes will fires. Okay, now how do we use the component inside the DOM? Then I'm going that only I'm going to explain. Okay, now my application is running. Okay, if I refresh the page, then see, you can check employee works. That means I have been used the employee selector as an element in the DOM. Then it is trying to fetch, I'm trying to find out the selector where it is attached. Now it found in employee component it is being attached. Then it actually render the HTML part of that. In HTML part, if you go there, it is written employee works. So by default it will be there if you create the component by using Angular CLI. Here also on more property is there, providers. So here provider, and you can also check in app module provider. Two way we can register one service inside the provider. So one is the component level here, and another is in the module level here. So now question may come to mind that what is the main difference then? So yeah, now difference is, if we register one service in the module level, then it will act as a singleton instance, and if we register that service in a component level, then it will act as a multi-based instance. That means if let's say I use this employee 3 times, okay, in a page. Let's say suppose I want to display 3 kind of employee list in a page. So in that scenario, if I register that employee service in the app level, in the app module level, then it will create one instance, and then that instance will be shared among the component, among the employee component. That means data will override, means whatever we got the last one data, that data will be applicable to all employee table. So to avoid this scenario, we have to register employee service in the employee component level providers. That means it will create multiple instance of the component employee component. When first time employee one employee component will be fed, that time my service will fed, and that service will be responsible to fetch the data from service and it will bind over here. Now next time again it will fire, and next time again it will fire. That means every time it will fetch the new data and will bind particular in that call. That means three different employee list we can check. Okay, my upcoming video I will explain each and every scenario with some practical example. So that's all for the day. Still, if you have any queries, please leave a message in the comment section below. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.